Hey crafty people, it's Tasha here, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a video that I originally shared over on the Heffy Doodle page. I really hope you enjoy it. Today we're making a stripy background with strips of Heffy Doodle coloured cardstock. I'll be using Pretty Pawsome die set, You Are So Pawsome shadow cuts, several colours of Heffy Doodle cardstock. Then I'll also end up bringing in the Quilted Hearts backdrop die, Paws of Love stencil, and Yappy Happy Mail. Let's start with that custom stripy background. I'm working on an A2 panel and I'm just covering it with adhesive. So you want to make sure you have a good amount because this is going to be holding all of those different strips of cardstock, and pay special attention to the edges too, as we don't want the ends of the strips lifting. Then I'm using a tape runner, just for ease and speed, but you could use double-sided tape or even a whole sheet of double-sided adhesive over the whole panel. I'd steer clear of liquid adhesive though, as that is going to be drying before you get to it all, and then you're going to have to keep going back and forth and adding more. I've got all of these strips left over from a previous project, but for that I just cut them with my paper trimmer, and they are 1/4 inch each. I did a rainbow last time, but I decided to switch it up a bit and just choose a select colour palette this time. The colours that I've chosen for this project are Huckleberry, Plum Pudding, Cookie Monster, Pumpkin Patch, Razzleberry and Banana Split, but I will have them all linked below and over on the blog as well. Whenever I make this kind of background, my favourite hack is to lay the stripes diagonally. If I laid them horizontally or vertically, then I'd need to be super careful to make sure they go down straight, and that just takes all of the fun out of it for me. So instead, I choose to make them visibly not straight, so I don't need to even try to make them straight. You could follow a pattern when laying colours, but for this project, I'm just laying these randomly. You could even throw in some strips of metallic or specialty cardstock into the mix, but I do like to keep to the same thickness of cardstock for all of my stripes, just because I personally prefer it that way. I think it looks and feels better on the finished panel if it's smooth all the way across. For each strip, I'm pushing the edge right up to the last strip before pressing it down into the adhesive, because I don't want any gaps where that white background is going to show through in between. To trim these edges down, I'm flipping my panel over and cutting them with some long blade scissors to make sure that I get a really crisp edge. You could use a paper trimmer. Then I can use these offcuts to fill in the last few stripes on each side. To get a nice smooth finish, I like to run my panel through my die cutting machine just to press all of those pieces firmly into the adhesive, and they kind of just lock together when you do that. But I'm actually cutting it with the Quilted Hearts background die, which is going to do the job of pressing the panel whilst also adding some fun detail. All of these heart cutouts come away easy enough, but some of them did need a little gentle persuasion. I'm really into layering up elements on my backgrounds lately, and I'm having so much fun experimenting and doing a little bit of trial and error to see what works and what I personally like. So my last layer to this background is some stenciling with Unicorn White Pigment ink and the Paws of Love stencil. I've been wanting to use this stencil for ages, and I thought now was the perfect time to break it out. So I've got it secured onto my panel with some Heffy memo tape, and I'm using one of these waffle flower precision ink blending tools with some white pigment ink. Using one of these smaller brushes is helping me to really get in all of the paw prints, even the really small ones. I'm working around the whole thing, and once I've inked all of the paw prints, I'm going back in to reinforce the edges of the heart. Time to peel and reveal. I love that so much. Now I've got quite a lot of die cutting to do, so I'm using my Heffy Doodle mini die cutting machine. I love this thing. I just find it so convenient. I can just bring it out onto my desk whenever I need it and then fold it and store it away when I don't. So I'm cutting the paw from the Pretty Pawsome die set, and I'm doing the backer piece from Vellum and the detailed bit from some Nina £80 and also some double-sided foam adhesive. This is going to give me some dimension to the paw without the need for cutting and stacking multiple cardstock pieces. I'm keeping the paw print white so that it really pops off that really colourful background, and it's going to tie this in with the white ink blended paw prints on the background panel. Once I've got the cardstock stuck to the foam, I can take the backing away and then adhere to the vellum before using some reverse action tweezers to take out those negative pieces. Now I'm working on the sentiment, which is a black gloss shadow piece with more white Nina £80 on top of that same foam for the sentiment itself. At this point, somewhat characteristically, I spontaneously decided to grab my Yappy Happy Mail stamp set and add some images onto my card. This wasn't the original plan. I'm stamping them onto some Heffy Doodle alcohol marker friendly cardstock with a marker friendly ink. I'm not in the mood for waiting, so I grabbed my heat tool and dried them quickly with setting 1. Now I'm going to colour these cuties to look like our very own sausage dog twins, because this is a Mother's Day card that I made for their mummy, who just so happens to also be my mummy. So I'm starting with their markings, just using a couple of shades of brown to get a passable lightness. Then it was time for the black portion of these black and tan cutie pies, only I've got a problem. I'm still waiting for that restock of Copic reinkers, and I am desperately low on options at this point, and I don't have any of my darker grey markers. I decided to just kind of wing it and mix some black pencil crayon in with the grey that I actually do have. It's far from perfect, and to be honest, I'm not even sure how successful it actually was. But we have a couple of dogs that at least pay a passing resemblance to our Willow and Hazelnut. Now, these pair are not keen walkers, and they try to hide away where they won't be spotted to avoid going out for a walk. But they are absolutely gorgeous, wonderful, and just melted all of our hearts from the moment they first laid a paw on them. So I don't have the coordinating dies for this set, so I'm just doing a bit of good old fussy cutting. I'm cutting these right up to the stamped line, but to give a much more polished finish and to hide any messy cuts, I like to take a black marker and colour the edges. This makes such a huge difference when you're fussy cutting, so you definitely should try it. I want to put this panel onto an A2 sized card with a small border around it, so I'm trimming it down by around 1/8 of an inch each side to make this panel 4 by 5 1/4 inches. Then I'm just gluing it straight down onto my A2 card base. A2 is an American standard size, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and it is my preferred size to work with. Now that the panel is secured onto my card, I can add all of the other pieces into place with a mixture of liquid glue and foam adhesive squares. I love how colourful this is, and it was perfect for the occasion and recipient that it was made for. Isn't it just so much fun that we as card makers can create something special and it's made exactly with our recipient in mind? I just love that this hobby can bring so much joy beyond just the person who enjoys doing it. Please do subscribe if you aren't already, and like, share and leave a comment on this video to help it reach more card makers. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.